All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Friday Night Fright Night podcast. This is episode 5, season 2, and today we're diving into weapons. I am GC, the host of Face the Movies.
Hey everyone, I'm Lee from Cinema Whiplash. Tonight we're diving into the most talked about horror thrillers of the year. That movie is Weapons, directed by Zach Cregger.
Absolutely, man. That's right. And this is a following up project from the filmmaker who gave us Barbarian. So expectations were extremely high. We're going to break down what worked, what didn't, and where this movie stands in the horror landscape of 2025.
Yep. And of course, we'll also be sharing some recommendations for what to watch next if you want a little bit more of that Weapons left you craving something more. We'll give you some recommendations.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, obviously, if you're listening, there's going to be very spoiler heavy. So I think this is a point right now. If you want to pause it, watch the movie, come back, by all means. If not, I mean, you're ready to go on this journey with us, just buckle in because, yeah, we're going to get started.
Yeah, so just a little synopsis of the movie. I will give credit to IMDb because I didn't write this, but the movie basically goes around when all but one child from the same class mysteriously vanish on the same night at exactly the same time. A community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearance.
Oh, man. Like that, dude, where to even begin with this, right? Because, I
Yeah,
mean, like just the trailers, the marketing for this, it was very like aloof, so to speak. Like it was it very left it to the imagination. Like I know for me, at the every single trailer, I was like, "What the hell is happening?" Like I couldn't piece it together. It was like, okay, kids go missing. Reminds me of very like Blair Witch style marketing, where they have like
yeah.
that creepy website, and that's it. It's like they try to make it look as real as possible and sound as real as possible. Um, but going into expectations versus reality, right? Like, for the marketing, how much of the trailer, did how much of the movie did they give away in the trailer? Like, did you how did you feel about that?
Well, for me personally, I thought that the teaser trailer was great because it really didn't give away much. It was the like, oh, you just saw these kids running around like looking like running like an airplane or something, and it said that it was the director Barbarian, and me as a Barbarian fan, and I know you are too, we're super
Yeah.
excited for it already. And so for me, that's all that I got from it because, and I love that I know that the second trailer came out and it gave you much more. It showed the characters, it gave you a little bit more away. So I would have to ask you a little more about how you felt about the second trailer if you did watch it, because I never got to see the whole thing. I only saw a little piece of it because I really wanted to go into this movie as blind as possible.
Man, I mean, for me, the trailer, same thing. I thought it was perfection. It didn't give anything away. If not, it just got me more frustrated because I was like, "Dude, like, what is happening?" And with every other trailer, I was kind of at the edge of my seat because I was scared, not because of what's gonna happen in the movie, but that they were gonna give it away. And every single time they did not disappoint. Even right now, for example, with even after it came out, let's what it's like post a week and a half since that movie came out. Um,
Yeah,
dude, I still haven't really seen spoilers. And I'm so surprised because normally within after that first weekend, everything's spoiler heavy. I mean, we saw that with Thunderbolts. Like right after they
yeah.
spoiled it with the so to me
The
they did
title and
fantastic job. Yeah, yeah, with the title change all of a sudden
yeah.
and um,
Yeah, I
but
didn't like that. Yeah, when it comes to that, but no, I agree. I mean, the only thing I got before I saw the movie, and I'm always constantly when I go on news, whether it's Apple News or whatever, I have a lot of movie stuff because I love movie news and stuff. So I did see a lot that they would whenever they would talk about weapons, even if I didn't click on the article, I kept seeing Benedict Wong's, which plays Marcus, the principal or the teacher. They would keep showing that picture of his face with like his eyes bulging and the blood,
yeah.
and I saw that picture and I got a little angry. I was like, "Oh man!" But you know what I was thinking the whole time? Because of that picture, I thought it was just the frame, and I thought that his head was gonna explode. I was thinking of scanners the whole time. Luckily, that didn't happen, so it really wasn't that much of a spoiler, other than knowing that he does get whatever happens to him later in the movie. But that's the only like little tiny spoiler I got before I saw the movie, so it wasn't too bad.
Dude, I have to agree with you. I wish I didn't see that because that was a very intense look that they gave him. And I remember seeing that in the trailer, and I was like, "No! Like, is he a zombie? Like, what the hell is happening here?" And everything I saw in the trailer and everything I tried to piece together was completely wrong from what was in the movie. Um, Now, dude, I want to ask you, man, coming off the success of Barbarian, right? I mean, it's a cult classic. Everybody wants it on physical media. We're dying
Yeah.
for it. We want the juicy special features. How did you feel? Like, did you feel that this movie, Weapons, lived up to the hype of Barbarian and all that, or did you like Barbarian more?
I personally liked Barbarian more, but I might be in the minority because a lot of people, from what I've been reading reviews, just of just fans, not just critics, they seem to like this one a little bit more. I do a thing sometimes when I walk out of the theater, I'll stand by the doors to hear people's reactions of movies and stuff. And with this one, it was pretty mixed when I came out of the movies. Um, but that's not what I got from, at least from the internet and stuff. I feel like people really enjoyed, and I did enjoy the movie. It's just maybe my expectations were way too high. I did like Barbarian better, but I did enjoy this one too. What about you?
Dude, so with me, I think I'm on the same boat with you, man. I mean, Barbarian to me just I enjoyed it a lot more. I thought the story made me more uncomfortable. It was very, very dark. Like very, very dark, especially once it starts going obviously into the basement and you start seeing that torture room and everything. Um, as far as for weapons, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. It wasn't what I was expecting. I don't know if again, like yeah, like same thing where I
Yeah,
set my expectations too high based on the trailers, based on Barbarian. But to me, it didn't feel like a horror movie like everybody was talking about it. Like they were like, "Oh, it's horror movie of the year." It didn't feel that way to me. The cinematography, I thought it was fantastic. Um,
yeah.
I mean, there was certain points we'll get into a little bit later in the podcast that I felt like they could have changed. But long story long, yeah. I mean, I think Barbarian for me is still number one, and then obviously Weapons like right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he's a director. He has two movies under his belt, two successes. You know, he goes with the lower budget. This movie's already a big success. I checked before we started, and not that this stuff matters too much, but this movie had a 38 million budget. It's already worldwide at 154 million. So this is a big hit for him, for New Line Cinema. And as a horror fan, I am happy to see New Line Cinema. I love seeing the logo in the beginning. It's having a lot of success this year with the new Final Destination, and its sister company did, which is Warner Brothers, you know, with Sinners. So it's been a
Yeah,
good year for them. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think he has a lot more to bring. Interested in seeing what he would do with Resident Evil. I kind of wanted
yeah.
him to continue to do original movies, but at the same time, I understand that, you know, he's got to, you know, make some bank and stuff, and you know, he said it's going to be different. So you know, don't knock it till you see it. So I definitely very interested in seeing what he does with that.
Man, and no, same here, dude. Like I always love the original film route compared to just remakes. Obviously, redoing stuff, sequels. It's just he's such a creative individual, and like these worlds that he's able to create, the complexities, the different layers, how you have so many characters, and he's able to focus on each one and get you involved and like intrigued with each character. But one thing that you said, right, the intro with New Line Cinema, it's funny because it's New Line Cinema, it's the house that Freddie built, right?
Yeah,
I wonder if it's gonna go from that to the house that Zach Gregor's kept building on, like, since he's, like,
yeah.
obviously doing, like, these amazing movies. But
Yeah,
man,
I mean,
well
it'll be interesting to see not only that, but the funny thing is there was a bidding war for this movie. So we New Line Cinema, you know, bought them out, but I believe even Netflix at one point had a chance at it, and I'm glad they didn't get it because this is a movie, whether you like it or not, this is a movie to see in theaters for sure. um, just to experience it with an audience is it's really, I mean, in my opinion, is one of the great things about seeing horror movies in the theater, especially is that experience with the audience that you get. So I'm glad that it was New Line Cinema, and you're right, man. I mean, I think if he continues on with New Line Cinema, but I want to say that Resident Evil might be still owned by Sony, so he might be switching over to Sony, at least for the
oh.
next one.
Damn, okay. So, I mean, I just hope they treat him right and they give him everything he needs, man, because
Yeah.
like, as you know, like, I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. So the fact that we get another Resident Evil movie, I mean, I just, even with the other cheesy ones with Mila Jovovich, like, I still enjoy them. They're like my version of the Fast and the Furious, but with
Yeah.
zombies. So I'm excited for that, man. And dude, I want to jump into first impressions, right? How did you feel walking out of the theater after seeing this movie?
Man, so sorry. So I would say that for me, well, other than first listening to other people's reactions, I went to see this movie with my wife, and we talked about the movie. And she's not a big horror fan, but she enjoyed it for what it was. But I didn't expect the movie to be what it was because I knew such little thing about it that I didn't know what I was gonna get. So in a way, I kind of feel like, well, you shouldn't be disappointed because it's not like they told you they were gonna give you this specific thing and then they didn't give it to you. You got what you got. But you can also be like, well, I didn't love it as much as I thought I was gonna love it, and that's kind of how I felt. I just felt like if we want to get more into the story already, I would just say that sometimes I felt like even though I'm patient with movies and I don't mind a slow burn, and this movie's not super long, it's 2 hours and 8 minutes, but I felt like the pacing was a little bit off sometimes with
Mm,
certain characters. So that kind of brought it down for me a little bit more. So I did walk out a little bit disappointed, to be honest, but still wanting to talk about it, which is a good thing, and still wanting to watch it again to see if I pick up on other things, which is also a sign of a good thing. So who knows, man? Maybe on second viewing, I might like it even more, you know?
yeah.
So,
No, no, I agree with you, man. I mean, we were talking about this way before the podcast episode. Before we even thought of conceived this episode.
yeah,
But I agree with like when I came out of the theater, it was a mix of emotions, right? Because like I mentioned earlier, it was something that I was not expecting at all compared to the trailers. And I know you for example, you were really avoiding them at all costs, man. When we were talking about it, you were just no
yeah,
spoilers, just trying to go into it completely blind. And me seeing a few, not spoilers, but seeing a few trailers and here and there. I think I saw like the first two, like the teaser, and then the next one, and then that's it. But yeah, like for me, after walking out of the theater, I just kind of I stood there for a second. I was like, okay, like, what the hell, man? That really took a completely different turn. There was
yeah,
a lot that I enjoyed, but I did feel a little underwhelmed. I do want to say that I'd had a horrible theater experience, so I don't
right,
know if that like kind of affected the way I experienced the movie. I couldn't fully get into it at times. I mean, I was surrounded with people in the front, people behind us, people to my right. They were just being so loud, moving around, fussing and eating, and it was just so much that like I think the first 30 minutes it was very hard to focus. But when certain scenes start ramping up, it's when I was like, okay, here we go. This is actually really good. The cinematography, everything. But yeah, there was a lot. I felt like there was a little too many characters. I felt like there were certain things that just weren't needed. And overall, again, man, I agree. I think that I need to watch it a second time, and I think watching it at home peacefully at a second time, there's gonna be a lot that I possibly missed, and
yeah.
I think I'll be able to give it the proper rating that it deserves.
Yeah, because what's funny, the beginning of it reminded me a little bit, and they're totally different movies. But the movie's kind of quiet outside of the little girl narrating in the beginning. It's a quiet movie, so there isn't too much dialogue. So if you're watching it in the theater and there isn't like a big score playing, you're gonna hear people just being people, moving, eating popcorn.
Yeah.
This happened to me with obviously both Quiet Place movies. That's why I mentioned them because those movies are so quiet when you watch them in the theater. Even if people are being respectful as fact of they're not talking and stuff, but they're just people like to sip on their sodas and eat the popcorn, and that becomes really loud in the theater when there's no sound. And I think that might be a little bit of it too. I didn't have a bad experience like you did, but I did notice that, especially in the first 15 minutes or so, I would hear people eating popcorn and stuff, and it does kind of take you out a little bit. I'm not myself much of eating in the theater other than maybe chewing some gum and stuff, but it's normal for people to want popcorn and stuff, but you definitely hear it a lot in these quieter movies for
Dude,
sure.
I had a couple behind me where they only ate popcorn during the quiet scenes, and when there was noise and stuff, they wouldn't touch their food.
Oh
And
god.
then a lady on my right, like 2 chairs away, there was a point where for 10 minutes straight, she had a napkin in her hand, and she kept and I'm gonna for you guys listening, I actually have a napkin with me randomly, but this is all you
Oh
heard
yeah.
for like 10 minutes straight. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, I turn to my right, and I'm thinking to myself, is this really happening right now? Like, am I? Is this like an experiment or something? They're they're like testing us or something.
Testing your patience and yeah,
Yeah.
maybe she had anxiety and she was just holding the napkin and not noticing she was making noise. But yeah, it becomes a little bit. It
Yeah.
takes you out sometimes for sure.
I was like, "Is this part of the movie now? Like, are they, do they have plants inside, like the like in the cinema, kind of like messing with you to get you really ramped up during the movie and stuff?" But yeah,
Yeah,
no, it was funny, man. Now looking back, it's pretty funny.
yeah,
Um, but dude, I want to jump into like the narrative of the film. Um, I know a lot of people were saying horror movie of the year, right? And I think you and I were on the same place as far as where we would rate it, like what category it would be in. But to let the listeners, viewers know, do you feel like this was a psychological horror, one of those paranoia type films, or societal commentary, or all together?
yeah. I Societal commentary comes up a lot. I think with this movie, there's a lot of things that happen throughout the movie that I think either people are making too much of it or we're trying to figure it out. Only because I've heard the director talk about in the last 2 weeks that the movie's been out. I have seen some interviews with him. A lot of people, of course, asking him about that gun above the house. They were all like, "What is this about?" Things like that. People talking about if this could be about school shootings or this and that. He said that he just put it in there because it looked great with the gun and it does have the number. I think it's 217, which is the number that we see a lot in this movie. I think there is some good commentary in this movie, but I think the paranoia one's pretty good too. You do have a few characters, especially the junkie guy and stuff. Uh, but yeah, man, I think there's a little bit of all of it. Really, it is. I think it's yeah. I would say a little bit of all three. What did you get the most from those? The
Man,
narrative.
I definitely feel obviously there was like to me there was 3 scenes in particular that obviously they were like horror and it creeped me out and I was like, "Okay, that was pretty well done." But it didn't feel like it was an entire like if I was to put it in a category, it's definitely psychological, like a psychological social commentary type
Yeah,
horror. Because to just say it's straight up horror, I just can't agree with it because when we see horror movies, for example, it's like It, right? Like
yeah,
It or Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday 13th. That's straight up. Well, I guess Friday 13th is kind of more of a slasher type situation, but like Nightmare on Elm Street, that's horror, man. Like somebody, like some demon type person coming out, this and that, and it's consistent throughout the entire film. But this movie to me was 80% societal commentary, and then I think like the like let's say 70 and then 30 like psychological horror. Because man, like when you really watch this film, and that's why I'm excited to watch it a second time. There's so many breadcrumbs of how society is, and I guess Zach Cregger's view on society and how people behave. I mean, we see it
yeah.
with the soda, we see it with the gun over the house, we see it with like the food, the consumption. I mean, they bring it up so much, the addictions throughout the film,
Addiction's a
and
big one. Yeah, alcohol. Yeah,
it was a big message. I mean, consumption and addiction, I think, was like the main keywords to describe this movie more than horror. Because I mean, and I guess that is a form of horror, like a realistic horror, but yeah, it was just consumption and addiction. The main messages that I took from it.
yeah. Addiction and the only scene and you bringing up the movie is that one scene that we get to see this character. It looks almost clownish, and she pops up in the woods, and it's a quick scene, and it's creepy. And I was like, oh, okay, this movie's going here with this. Like, we're gonna
Yeah.
get a lot of this. Like, this is gonna be crazy. And maybe that's where a little bit of my disappointment came, where there wasn't that much of it. And the problem too was that character ends up coming out in the movie a lot in the third act, maybe even halfway through the second. We see this character so much that she's not scary anymore. There's not, because the scary thing is seeing it little by little, and that's what he did. But then when she comes out a lot, she was just like, okay, this is just some crazy lady with a ton of makeup. It wasn't scary anymore, at least not for me.
Yeah. Like I wish they would have kept it that way, man. I mean, I agree with you. Like that scene where the and I man, wish I was a little bit more prepared with the names. That's the only thing I did kind of mess up on this one. But obviously, there was only one junkie in the movie, so I'm sure you
Oh,
guys
the
listening.
yeah, yeah, the junkie. His name is well, yeah, I have to look it up. It's well in the movie. His name is James.
Oh,
The actor's name is Austin Abrams.
okay, so James.
But his James, yeah,
So James in the film, right? He's running from the police officer, and he's running through the woods, and he sees, like Lee was talking about, he sees this character that looks exactly like a clown, and it's from a distance. Now that scene to me, which Lee and I talked about, to me, as soon as I saw it, immediately it popped in my head. It felt like they were editing and accidentally put a clip of it into that movie,
yeah,
but it was so exactly like it. And actually, no, in the other scene too, in the bedroom where it's
the
like
bedroom,
in the bedroom on top of the ceiling, and then also like under the covers, all scenes were like, it screamed it to me. And I'm wondering if Zach Gregor's, like, during the special features when this is released on physical media, if it inspired him in any way to make this film. Because it's true, like Gladys, I think that was her name. I wish that character would have maintained that mystery through the rest of the film, and maybe towards the end, the last like 10 or 15 minutes, we would have seen
right?
her a little bit more. But she just seemed like a crazy cat lady to me. Like, it didn't seem like
Yeah,
anything else.
it took it away a little bit, especially seeing her so much. Like I said, yeah, no, yeah, definitely. When we would delve now into the characters and the performances and stuff, we could get more into that stuff because yeah, I think he definitely got inspiration from it, at least in those scenes. And I wonder if he was just like, I'm just gonna throw that in there to add a little bit of horror to this, a little more horror, because this movie also, you know, what's funny? Talking about movies that it reminds you of a little bit. Um, it's a great movie. It has nothing to do with this one, but Prisoners, because it's
Yeah.
these parents looking for their two kids, right? So in this one, especially Josh Brolin's character, which his name is Archer, he reminds me the most of that. Like when it's funny because this movie almost feels, and I know it's cut in chapters of each character. I almost feel like there's about three movies in here that he just threw in together and kind of put it all together into one movie. And sometimes I wanted to spend more time with that movie than I did with other parts of the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I felt like it was definitely trying to be, it felt, the entire movie felt like it was trying to find its voice. Like, it didn't know what it was. So you see, like, a quarter of it, it's like this prisoner style movie, right? Where it's like Josh Brolin's obsessed, trying to find his kid, can't blame him. And then it starts going into horror, right? For a brief moment. And you're like, okay, it's a horror. And then it starts going into this whole, like, very hard societal commentary with a little bit of obviously psychological type stuff, like a little bit, I wouldn't say paranoia, but definitely psychological, and not horror, but I want to say kind of like,
It was a bit of a
man,
drama too,
yeah, like a
especially
bit,
with Justine's character with the
yeah.
alcohol and being blamed for this when it's not her fault.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was a lot. It was trying to be a lot of things, and I felt like that's where, to me, it kind of lost a little bit of its footing. And then obviously it just stuck to the societal commentary to me. And but yeah, man, I wonder. I cannot wait to see the behind the scenes and the making and really fully understand it. And then maybe we'll kind of be like, oh, okay, that makes kind of sense why he went this route, or maybe something was holding him back. I mean, who knows with Hollywood these days?
Yeah. Sometimes you just have a lot of ambition with a script and then
Yeah.
you just put so much into it that you grab from different spots and then you end up with like that, like three movies in one when maybe you should have, trimmed it a little bit. But do you want to get in? Let's get into the characters and the performances because I do feel like speaking about the characters in this movie is really going to lead the a lot. We could talk a lot about the actual plot and stuff like that because, as we said earlier, this movie is cut into characters, like they would say, a la Pulp Fiction. Like
Yeah.
you have all these different characters. You have Justine, which is the teacher that has all these students that go missing. We focus on her first, right?
Hmm.
And then but this is my problem with this movie. I feel like I kind of don't want to take any of these characters away because I thought the performances were really good, but at the same time I feel like three characters to focus on would have been enough. And I think, other than Justine, we have Josh Brolin's Archer, which is the son, the father looking for his kid. and then we also have a chapter with Paul, which is the cop, and then we also have a chapter with James, which is the junkie, and we have a another jump, which is another character, Alex, which is the main little kid. You
Yeah.
know, we'd have to, and his is very important. And then you also have a jump for Marcus, which is the teacher, played by Benedict Wong. I believe I caught them all. So that's a lot of chapters to be cutting into. And that was my thing. Like, damn, all these performances were really good, but if I'm being honest, we probably could have cut one or two of these out.
Yeah. Like I definitely, dude, again, hit the nail on the head. Like I agree. Like we didn't need so many people. I don't know if there was issues with developing the main, like the main character, not the main character, but the villain, and that's kind of why they needed that filler characters. Maybe they didn't have a full backstory to really explain, like, to how to make sense of her. So they were like, okay, let's just distract people with this, and then we'll throw her in there, and then that's it. You know, you don't get no like where she come from, how old is she? Is she really related to the kid's mom? Like, there was so many unanswered questions.
Right. And that's why I think, unless he did it on purpose, but I mean, you don't know if a movie's going to be a big hit or not. But it was already announced that there's going to be a sequel to this movie, but it's not really a sequel. It's going to be supposedly a prequel that might, this is what I heard. I don't know if it's 100% true, that it's going to focus on her. So we're going to get to see her full backstory.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could have gotten something shorter along the lines of backstory for her in this movie and just cut some of the characters out. For example, at least for me, as much as I did like the junkie character of James, and I thought the cop, I like that actor. I'm glad he's getting his flowers because, I know he got a lot of flack for playing in the Han Solo movie. A lot of people didn't like that movie and they didn't like him as Han Solo, but he was really good in this movie. But
Yeah.
if I'm being honest, if I was to cut out two characters and probably still have the same movie, it would probably be Paul the cop and James the junkie, in my opinion.
Like, cut them out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to shorten it up a bit. And don't get me wrong, I have no problem with this movie being 2 hours and 8 minutes. I haven't, as long as you're telling a good story, the movie could be 3 hours. But the only thing is, I did feel like the movie dragged a little bit. And even if you leave the same length, but add, like you were saying, add a little bit more to the villain, get a little bit more backstory of what happened to her that she's coming and doing these things. I think it would have filled in some more gaps.
Oh, absolutely, man. I agree with you that taking those characters, because the thing is with those characters is like, you have Junkie, we have James, where he has nothing to do with those kids, right? And with the cop, it's kind of the same thing. There's so many cops in the precinct already working on this. I mean, we see his father-in-law, which we see him quite a few times with Josh Brolin's character talking about the missing kids and like trying to figure stuff out. So we didn't need an additional cop on there.
Hmm.
I think the main people that we're supposed to focus off is obviously the principal. I think they did good because obviously he's the principal of the school. He has to deal with this. He has to deal with Justine's character, and then Josh Brolin. Obviously, him losing his kid and going through this journey of trying to find his kid and all that. It made perfect sense to keep it that way. And I think if they would have done that, it would have left more room for the movie to actually be a horror movie and have a little bit more like we don't need to be spoon fed, but a little bit more context with with the villain, I think would have been better because again, like they just made her out like it also kind of felt like a dark comedy. That's one thing I forgot to mention. Like they
Yeah.
made her out to not be scary, but just to be like a dark comedic figure. And I don't know. I don't know if this is what's supposed to be, where it's just like some dark, kind of like man, I'm trying to think of like that movie in the woods with those guys. It was like they were hillbillies, and it was a comedy. It was a horror
Oh,
comedy. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, yeah. The Dale and something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dale and
Tucker and
Tucker
Dale.
face
Yeah.
evil or something. Like that's what it
Yeah.
reminded me of, man. Like it was just like it was more of a comedy, and which I don't mind in my horror movies sometimes. Obviously, Evil Dead, you have like the one liners and stuff like that. But for this, I just expected something. I mean, and again, there was dark comedy in Barbarian. I mean, with Justin
Yeah.
Long. So I
Yeah.
get
Which he
it, but
gets
with
a
her,
cameo here.
dude, I love that, by the way.
Yeah.
Like talking about characters, like seeing Justin Long in this movie, even for a few minutes, I was like, hell yeah, dude. Like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny. I had read it. I didn't think about it. this is the first horror movie he's done because it's a little cameo where he doesn't die, he survives.
Dude, thank God, man. This poor guy,
Yeah,
every
finally.
movie, like he just it's like whoever's casting him, they hate him so much. They're like, how can we brutally kill such a lovable person? And then
Yeah.
and they just turn him into a walrus or freaking like take off his skin. It's like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man. No, but
But
yeah, it was nice to see him. It was nice to see him, the director bring him in there. It shows that they have a relationship. It also means that maybe in the future they can make another movie together. So that was cool to
yeah.
see him there.
Dude, and I one quick thing I want to jump into too. Well, to piggyback off what we're talking about, because you were saying like I heard the exact same thing where they're planning on releasing a prequel, and it feels like the whole Texas Chainsaw 2003 and 2006 situation,
Mhm.
where they cut off right Leatherface's arm in 2003. So then they're like, well, shit, we shot ourselves in the foot, so we should do a prequel. And I feel kind of like this is a situation where they could have just ended it like the way it ended was perfect, right? It ended that way, and then they could have continued it off as with the little boy knowing how to do what he like learned, right? Because that's part of this movie where he figures out, okay, if I do this with that,
Oh
I
yeah.
could control people and stuff. And then they could have done a whole other movie with him a little bit older and obviously with a different aunt, and maybe it could have explained a little bit more of the family history. But I feel like they could have gone that way instead of now going back to this character that's not really a villain type like arc to me. But I kind of want to throw that in
Yeah,
there, just
yeah. I'm a little conflicted because in a way would rather it gets nothing, no sequel, no prequel.
yeah,
Um, I do kind of see where they can kind of make an interesting story out of her. Kind of like the first Joker movie where like, oh, Joker got his own movie. I personally not a big fan of the Joker movies. I think the first one's all right, but I can see how there could be some really cool sinister stuff with her backstory and just making her like how does she learn all this voodoo stuff, whatever she's doing. But that being said, I think this movie sits pretty well as a standalone. And yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, if the director's making Resident Evil next week, if he, unless he writes the prequel and lets somebody else direct it, which I don't know if that's even a good idea, but we'll just have to wait and see what he does with a prequel. But
yeah,
yeah, I think
absolutely, man.
standalone should have been the way to go. But hey, maybe the prequel turns out to be great. We never know. But you know,
I mean, if he's behind it, I'd be curious to see, because he's yet to let me down. So I mean, he did a trifecta. Imagine that, like especially in Hollywood in this day and age, and
yeah,
especially again with a prequel. But I mean, I'd be excited to, man. I love him as a director. I think he's super creative. I think that's kind of what we need, originality, and he brings it to the table. So it'd be fantastic to give him a chance and see what he could do with a prequel and see if maybe kind of teach people a few things about how to do it right.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah, and to
Now,
go back to the characters, just
yeah,
to finish off with them, I just wanted to mention that I think like Julia Garner's story, mixing it with Josh Brolin, when they're doing the whole thing with the map and stuff, I was really into it. That was my little bit of the struggle with the movie. Is like I felt a lot of the times when I was really getting into a certain chapter with these characters, it would cut and go back to the
yeah,
characters, and I understand that there's a connection there between her and the cop because they used to date, and then but I just felt like he threw in a little bit of drama in there for no reason, maybe even for comedic moment where the cop's wife finds out that she slept with him, and she sees her at the liquor store and throws like liquor all over her and stuff. I
yeah,
know that was also there was a jump scare in there too, right? But I just felt like, man, if you cut all this off, you still have the same movie. And I don't want to repeat myself too much there, but I just feel like maybe without those two characters, the story would have been shorter and tighter. But when all is said and done, the those two characters, the actors did a really great job. So I totally get why it would have been tough to cut them out.
yeah. No, absolutely. That's the thing, man. It's hard. It's a hard choice in these type of situations, right? Because I mean, I wish I could have spent more time with certain characters, and then there was others where they got a little bit too much time, and I was like, okay. Like
Right.
again with the cop, like like I get it. He was dealing with alcoholism and all this stuff. He wasn't happy with his fiance or girlfriend or wife. But there was a lot happening that they explained with him, especially the whole thing with him and the father. I guess his girlfriend, where
Oh yeah.
he's he was kind of like you could tell he was miserable in that relationship and all that. And I was like, we didn't really need that. It had nothing to do with the actual story. But going back to social commentary, right? If we consider this movie a social commentary type film, then it makes perfect sense. Everything he did makes perfect sense because it's showing how people are in society. People are unhappy, they just settle. They have substance abuse problems, they have consumption problems. So that's where to me it's like if we're labeling it a horror, makes no sense. Um, Psychological horror, same thing, but then societal commentary type horror, then I'm like, okay, this now
Yeah,
we're
I mean,
understanding.
yeah, no, and it shows how hard it is when you're trying to get off those things, how there's always gonna be an
Yeah,
influence there to bring you back, right? Because he doesn't wanna drink, he even goes to a bar to meet her, so he put himself in that situation, but at the same time, he kept telling her, "No, I'm not gonna drink," and she convinces him to do it eventually because, he gets to go to her back to her place and sleep with her and stuff, so it
yeah,
does show how hard it is to be with the substance abuse and all that stuff, it adds to it, and that's why I think that this movie it does a lot, it has a lot to say, and it does when he's doing all that stuff, it does bring the horror elements down a little bit. It loses a little bit. It's not a tight horror movie like Barbarian was, and that movie does go a little batshit crazy in the third act, but in a fun horror way, which
yeah.
this one does too, right? We'll get to that in a little while, but like it takes longer to get there.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's like with Barbarian, obviously Justin Long character in the film, he's hilarious, like in the worst way. But you definitely see more of each character's background. I mean, like for example, Barbarian Tess, you don't get to know too much about her. Or same thing with the guy staying in the Airbnb. He same with Keith. I think that was his name.
Yeah.
You don't get to know too much of him. You just focus a little bit more on Justin Long's character, like the stuff that he wasn't supposed to be doing and all that. And then obviously the owner of the house and the stuff that he was getting into to create that whole situation. And it was just enough, right? It was just enough to kind of get you pulled in, and then you're in the future and you're like, okay, what the hell's going to happen? But with this, it was a lot of flashbacks, a lot of like I don't know if he was trying to create like make these multi-layered characters to really for you to fall in love with, and then you're like rooting for them. But then it was kind of hard because then, like you said, he cuts a lot of those like those times with them short, right when you're getting into the character, and you're like, okay, what's gonna happen next with them? I'm starting to like them, and then boom, next character, and it's like, dude, you just teased me,
Yeah.
and now you just threw some whole new person in here, and it's like, okay, like what do we do now? And for the listeners and people watching this on YouTube, we're not and I don't want it to sound like we're trying to bash the movie or anything. We're fans of it, but we're definitely not going to hold back on certain things, and
Right, right. Yeah, it does seem that way. I was actually gonna say the same thing a little while ago. I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't want you to think that for everybody to think that we didn't like this movie. There's just certain things about it that we didn't. So we're going through it to see, like we said with the character issues and things like that. But it's still a good movie, and I understand that people love it, and they came out. A lot of people I saw came out super wowed by it, and that's
yeah.
great. I mean, that's great for cinema for people to enjoy these movies and to go see them in the theater is good. But yeah, there's gonna be some nitpicks for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there always is with this type of stuff. I mean, any other
Yeah.
day, it's just us kind of, it's our point of view and like what we noticed, but it doesn't mean that we're always right. It just is stuff that we enjoy and whatnot. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's opinion on our platform is respected. So,
Oh, for
um,
sure.
but we're going with that, man. I want to talk about like lead performances, right? I want to talk about Josh Brolin's character, like who like, did you feel that anybody's because we already talked about the people story, right? The characters that we didn't care too much to have on there, but as far as for the actors themselves, did you like how did you feel about them, like the performance?
That's the thing. I felt everyone was really good in the movie, which is why I kept saying like James and the junkie should have been could have been cut, and so could pause the cop. But both those guys knocked it out of the park. I mean, especially
Yeah.
the junkie guy James. Even has some moments that are pretty funny. And he's always running from him, and he's always trying to do his drugs, and the whole thing about when the cop finally catches him and it pokes him in the finger, the needle, and he just punches him and knocks him out. There's a lot of good stuff with them, so I understand that. That's where I'm conflicted because I feel like those two guys do stand out in the movie, but at the same time, I feel like those are the two guys that could be cut the most out of the movie, which is crazy, right? But I thought Julia Garner was really good. I haven't seen too much of her work before because I didn't watch that show she was on Netflix.
Ozarks.
I never saw it, so I've heard she was good in that. I did watch Wolfman earlier this year, which wasn't a very good movie. And she was pretty good in it. But I think from what I've seen from her, this was her best standout role. And I thought the little boy was like really good. I've a lot of people are talking about his performance. I have to say, I recently, just to mention quick, I saw the movie The Life of Chuck, and there's a child performance in there. The main kid that plays him throughout that movie, Oscar worthy, really good. So to me, this kid is like second best that I've seen a kid's performance this year. So he's really good.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I thought everyone, it was nice to see Benedict Wong in there. I know him from the Marvel universe, and I thought he had some funny moments. A lot of people are talking about the food, the tray with all the hot dogs and stuff that him and his
Mm.
partner eat. That was pretty funny. So yeah, everyone's. I don't know if I have a specific performance that stood out for me, but I definitely enjoyed them all, and I thought everyone brought their A game.
You know, I felt like, dude. So the actor that plays the junkie, I thought phenomenal. Like landed it.
Yeah,
Same thing with the actor that plays the cop. I thought that again, like there was like especially to be able to land the certain twitches that come from like coming off substance abuse and stuff like that. Just the way their mannerisms, everything about them, to up down to their freaking pupils, like they
yeah,
just they knew what to do and they delivered 100%. Josh Brolin is Josh Brolin. I mean, the intensity
yeah,
that he brings, it's always on point. He's fantastic. He really showed like the pain, behind losing his son. And Benedict Wong, I mean, just dude, he was so good in this movie between from just being charming and funny to trying to be a good boss and trying to do his job to
right.
just being like this possessed monster. I think again, he all crushed it. I think as far as for Gardner, I think that she did good, but I felt like watching from other things, especially Ozark, it was like I've seen better from her. So
Okay.
she did good, but I felt like a lot of the other characters, especially characters that were supposed to be kind of supporting characters. I felt like the junkie, for example, and the cop were supposed to be a little bit more of supporting, and
Yeah,
then Julia and then Josh and then Benedict were kind of more of the main, or at
right.
least Julia and
And Josh.
Josh were the main and stuff. But overall, yeah, I mean, I can't say that I hated anybody's performance. I think Gladys is obviously the villain in the film. I think it was good. Um, I don't know. Like I think it was good. Like I don't think it was definitely like an iconic villain that we're gonna be able to put up there in the ranks as some of the greats. But she did good. I think the little boy's acting was fantastic, especially for being a little boy. Like he crushed it.
Yeah.
Like, dude, he did fantastic, man. I was so proud of him. I was like, I don't even know this little dude, but I'm so proud that he crushed this role, especially in a movie like this. So that was fantastic. And the parents, I think the parents, their acting when they were possessed,
Zombied out.
dude,
Yeah.
they killed it, man. Those scenes with the forks and all that stuff. I mean, they delivered it so damn well that it made me squint a few times. I was like, holy hell, like that's intense.
Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
was
I'm there.
crazy.
But I'm right there with you, man. Performance is fantastic.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you something about the plot. I want to ask you something about the villain
Mhm.
because we've talked about it a little bit, but with time and thinking back on this movie, what was her end game? What was she really trying to do here? Because I got some things from it, but I wonder what you mainly got from it.
Dude, so from what I took from it, right? Um, in the beginning, obviously, it's clear that she's trying to, I guess, she reminded me of what you would think of as like a succubus,
Yeah,
trying to feed off the energy of people when try to heal herself with that. And that's what you see her kind of doing with the parents and all that. And obviously there's a scene where she says, "Oh, it doesn't seem to be working, so bring me the kids."
Right.
But then you see all these kids in the basement, right? And the little boy, he's feeding them and taking care of them and stuff, but she's still not getting better. You don't see her getting better. So then there's a scene where she tells him, "Oh, we're gonna have to leave," and she's gonna leave with the little boy. But yeah, like as far like it went from her trying to just heal herself to now like is she trying to use them as weapons, like as like missiles, human missiles, or like is she going to use them as slaves or something, or is she going to use the kids to bring more adults because they're too young, maybe they're not enough like power for her to heal herself. It just that I couldn't figure it out. I just I knew in the beginning was her like healing herself and preserving herself, but then she also didn't look any younger, like nothing changed. Like it made no sense. It's like, okay, so she just looks like freaking 60 something the entire time, even after she's feeding off the souls or whatever, the energy force of these people. It just I think that
Yeah.
wasn't I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of that. I mean, most of it. I think we got a lot of the same things because to me, that's what I thought. I thought she was going to get their energy and get younger. And that never happens really. And then also if she's using the people as weapons, and that works the best to me with Marcus, the teacher, right? She uses
Yeah.
him as a weapon and it works pretty well. So my thing was like, what if you're gonna use people as weapons, why not use adults more than kids? Because the kids can't really do that much. But I understand the aspect of, oh, well, I'm getting these kids because the easier to take all these things from their classroom and just get a bunch of them, and then take their energy, take their to become to heal herself because she's dying. But like you said, first it was the parents that didn't work. Then all these kids, there was like how many was it? 15, 17 kids.
Yeah.
None of that's even working. So she's gonna take this kid and leave to what? Try to keep. That's what kind of got me confused by this movie. I don't know if I was confused or just feeling like, okay, what are you trying? Like, I just didn't see the villain's end game here. I didn't see what she really wanted to do. If we're gonna go with the voodoo aspect all the way, then she should have been sucking these people dry and they eventually die. And she's just feeding them soup and keeping them alive, and she has them like almost like in the zombie state, but at the same time she's like you said, she still looks the same, she's still sick, and she still wants to take off with the kid at the end. So that kind of kept me, that's where the questions come, and that's why I really want to see it a second time to see if I pick up more on that. And I would love to hear what people have to say about that, because yeah, that had me a little confused.
Yeah, man. I mean, and then this is why I'll go back to the social commentary aspect. Um, I feel that if he was to come out and say, "Oh, this is more of a social commentary type horror," the movie makes perfect sense in every way because um I mean, and if it's all right, I'll jump into a few key things that I noticed in the film. I
Sure.
mean, you see examples of there's a point where Josh Brolin's character is dreaming, and he dreams of his son, and his son's kind of leading him to this house. Right? He gets to this house, he's standing in front of it, and then you see this kind of like M16 type, like assault rifle, like just hovering over the house, like this massive, overly exaggerated gun for no random. It looks almost like you're in a video game and it's just you're about to
Yeah.
collect like ammo or something.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so you have that type of like visuals where it's like, okay, guns, right? Weapons makes sense. Title of the movie. But then you have substance abuse consistently from beginning to end, right? There's addiction. You have Julia's character, she's an alcoholic. You have the cop that he's an alcoholic. You have the kid, the homeless kid, where he's a drug addict. You have Benedict Wong and his partner with they're addicted to horrible food, like they're unhealthy lifestyles. And
Right.
that's why that tray is so exaggerated with like 9 hot dogs, 10 hot dogs, like cookies, all the unhealthy stuff. And then you see when the little boy is being interviewed by the police, you see they put a can of Coke and the camera zooms into it as it's being handed off to the boy. And throughout the movie, you see that on two different occasions. But with all that being said, again, if you take this movie as a social commentary film, especially the main villain, she's almost like the type of character where I don't know if they were using her as a vessel to kind of I don't know if it's like this whole she's kind of like represents the government, let's just say, right? If we're going to go into conspiracy theories, she represents the government, and that's why she's just using people against each other to distract them, why she does what she wants to do, which is take care of herself and survive feeding off of other people, right? So if we were going to say social commentary, it's like, okay, she's the government, turning people against each other, distracting them, why they take care of themselves, they get wealthy and all this stuff. And then same thing again with everybody else's addiction, especially after, and I forgot to mention Josh Brolin, his addiction is trying to find his kid. Like you see him get so obsessed with the map, and he got to the point where he's like stalking. He's just stalking and doing all these crazy things. And I get it, he's trying to find his son, but it gets to that point of like obsession. And I mean, man, again, that's what this film screams. It's just society, people being unhealthy, eating crappy food, drinking, too much, consuming too many drugs, becoming too obsessed with things, being unhappy with their lives, and then just kind of being turned against each other for somebody else to profit off of. Because she even says it. The villain says it at one point. She says during the meeting with the principal in school, she says they have a problem with consumption. And I mean, all these little breadcrumbs led to that. So I guess if there was a lot of parts in this film that didn't have much of a point, I think the point was the social commentary. It was just more of a
Yeah.
reflection of who we are, especially with the assault rifle, right? I think that was a commentary on, obviously the movie takes place with schools, with children, weapons. It could be a commentary about shootings in schools and banning assault rifles and stuff like that. So I don't know. That's kind of what I took from it. Just the first viewing, obviously, wasn't able to fully focus, but those are the things that I took from it that made sense.
Yeah, no, and to add to that, I feel like you remember that the Josh Brolin's son, he's a bully in school.
Oh,
So
that's right.
he's looking at the house of the bully because it's his own house, right? And then there's a gun. It's like, was this bully gonna start a shooting, or was the people that he was bullying start a shooting? Like, it could be a lot of things. And I think I agree with you, man. I think it makes me like the movie more when you think about all these things and you put these things together, and it has more of a social commentary. I think because it's in there and it shows. So I feel like that is more consistent and makes more sense than some of the plot holes with the villain, like we talked about, things like that. But with that stuff, it makes me like the movie more. Actually, it makes me want to watch it again and see if I pick up on even more of that stuff that you just mentioned. So yeah, I think it works better that way. And in movies, we get what we get out of them. Different people get different things out of them. So if that's the main thing that we get out of it, I think it makes the movie better. At least for me, it does personally.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing too, that it wasn't even like it was so in your face about it. Like when you really, and I know once people watch it a second or third time, they'll understand like where we're coming from, as far as for a social commentary. Because I wasn't like, sometimes you're watching a movie and you try to kind of reach a little bit and try to figure it out, but I didn't really have to. Like after just sitting with it for like a day or two, like just all these different things started popping in my head. I was like, wait a minute. And then obviously us talking about it, and it's like that makes more sense. Like as far as social commentary, the movie's brilliant. But if they're gonna
Yeah.
label it as horror, it falls apart, and it's like I think labeling it the right thing, it's gonna, to me, it kind of makes it or breaks it.
Yeah, there's little things in the movie, like, to nitpick a little bit, and this is just my nitpick. I haven't heard nobody talk about this too much, so it's not a big deal. But when Josh Brolin, he's putting everything together of what house the kids were going to, I feel like I think I spoke to you about this when we talked about the movie. They incorporate the ring camera a lot in this movie. All the parents have it. He goes, and that's how we get that great cameo and all that stuff from the ring camera. But I feel like this house is positioned right at the end of a block in the corner, and there's houses surrounding it, on both sides. So I always felt like, why didn't the cops or even Josh Brolin say, well, look, what do anybody around here have ring cameras so we could see if there's any footage of the kids running around here or stuff? And they would have probably caught on to that house. I also feel like it's pretty obvious that those parents are going through something, and I know that the teacher even says it. Oh, I looked in there and the parents were just sitting there, and everything's blocked off. But that's kind of concerning. Wouldn't you want to send a cop over there to check if they're okay? they're like, oh no, they're going through stuff, but I also feel like that's just like extreme. Like maybe these people, this harm to themselves because their kid's missing, or what happened with the kid. Everyone's blaming them too because their kid's the only one that stayed in the classroom. So I felt like all those little things, they're a little bit of a nitpick, but they bothered me a little bit. That's why I agree with you about the social commentary stuff. That stuff works really good for this movie, and all that stuff like made me like it a lot. But the other things, the little negative points we've spoken about, is what brought it down for me. As I walked out of the theater, I felt a little bit disappointed because of things like that. But I think that's just mostly
Yeah.
me, especially the ring camera stuff.
Well, so that's the thing too. Like if we go back to the social commentary with the ring camera, that's a brilliant part, right? Because it's true, it's exactly like you said, right? All these neighbors have ring cameras. It's like they talk about it in the film, but nobody like somehow is able to get the footage. So if we look at it as a social commentary, right? People are when it comes to these situations, instead of people uniting, they're very divided, very survival of the fittest type. I'm survive myself and this and that, but also people are very privacy protective with that type of stuff. The paranoia with all the cameras, people are watching this and that. And then we
Yeah,
have these movements, right, in the last few years where with the whole police stuff that's gone on with certain situations, police brutality, this and that, we see that social commentary in the film, right? With when he turns off the camera in his squad car, and the way he just like abuses his power and beats the crap out of that kid, and because he's a junkie, he's just like expects everything to go away. um so when we look at that, and also the parents not wanting to share information with Josh Brolin and not showing much urgency to find their kid, it kind of speaks to society now where people are just something bad happens and they just throw their hands in the air and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. It's like instead of collaborating, using the technology. So on that aspect, it makes sense. But then as a horror, it just falls apart. It's like, yeah, it makes no sense. There's cameras everywhere. And then the house, it looks like a crack house. And
yeah,
then nobody's thinking this little boy's just going home. Every day he's walking home, he's buying cans of soup like randomly all the
right.
time, and there's newspapers on the wall, like on the windows, and especially that neighborhood, which we all know that in real life, neighborhoods that nice, people are gonna have the neighbors that are gonna notice things and be like, "Hey, your grass is a little too long," or your house looks a little dirty, and you're taking property value down from our neighborhood. So,
Yeah.
sure somebody would have passed by or something,
Oh yeah,
but
and the soup thing's a good point too. I mean, a little kid shopping alone for soup every day, getting a ton of soup, especially when the kids get there, right? It's not just for his parents, but
yeah.
also for the his classmates. We have to kind of turn a blind eye to certain things like that because every movie has its little things like that. But yeah, I think that's the strong suit of the movie is the commentary stuff. When it comes to horror, I don't know if it succeeds, especially not as good as Barbarian, but at least that's how I felt too.
Yeah.
But
Well,
people are loving it, so that's good.
yeah, man. I mean, hey, listen, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. I think to me, I'm labeling it a social commentary, and that's what makes this movie fantastic and excellent in my eyes. If I label it anything else, then it's like it's good. Barbarian to me was social commentary, but it was more horror. Like
Hmm.
absolutely more horror. And I think that's what I mean the director's like style is. He loves incorporating the scariness of the real world along with like the fictional stuff. But speaking of scary, I wanted to ask you, man, what was there any specific scene for you that stuck out the most?
As far as scary or just in general?
I would say like scary made you kind of like maybe even want to flinch type situation. You're like, oh, what the hell was that?
That I could remember. I mean, outside of the it stuff, I thought that stuff was pretty creepy. But I think my favorite scene was probably when Marcus, the teacher, is going after the girl, and he's like relentless, nonstop, just in the gas station. And she goes inside, and Josh Brolin, he actually goes up to confront her about something, right? He's the one that wrote "witch" on her car, which is another thing,
Yeah.
right? And then, but he still protects her because he's like, oh, this guy's just like coming after her hard, like, and he looks crazy. So I really enjoyed that scene. I thought it was really well shot. I thought he built the tension really good. He also showed he's these people that comes with the name, their weapons, the you could hit them. You keep throwing them. There's a battle in the third act, also with Josh Brolin and the cop, it's like relentless. Like you throw these people, you hit these people, you do all these things, and they keep coming back. So those were probably my favorite as far as suspense and kind of getting the blood flow going compared to the other like more calm moments of the movie. What about
Yeah.
yourself?
No, I mean, I think I did give it away a little bit, but earlier in the film, when the parents start stabbing themselves in the face with a fork,
Oh, right.
that really got me, man, because the way they did that was so realistic. And I think obviously the scene where the villain is torn apart, like that scene where they're ripping her mouth open, to me, that was like, damn, that was brutal. Like that was super intense. Um,
Oh, I just remembered one.
which one?
The At the third act that I was just talking about, remember that she grabs the cheese grinder and starts to
Oh
rip his skin
yeah.
off with
The
that thing
cop?
was
Yeah,
rough,
yeah.
man. My
Dude,
wife
that
was have turned her head away from that one. I was like, "Damn."
see,
That was
those
crazy.
those for sure. So those 2 scenes with the fork and where with Julia's character, she starts peeling the skin off the face of the cop to defend herself. He's, like, choking her against, like, some cabinets in the kitchen. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, man, like, that peeler and especially knowing that they're not as sharp as you would think they are.
right. Yeah.
So, dude, that was so like, I literally went like this. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you see my expression, but, like, my knuckles started sweating. Like, I was just like, "What the hell, man?" Like, I was like this, but, yeah,
No, I
it
know
was
for a
intense.
fact that's happened in another movie, and I just can't remember the movie right now. But not in the face, but I think it was in someone's leg or something. Somebody grabbed like the cheese grater and did it. But man, for the life of me, I can't remember now. So if anybody does watch this on YouTube, you can leave a comment, see if you remember which movie did turn people's skin to cheese also.
Yeah, hashtag skin cheese. Oh, that
Skin
sounds
cheese.
horrible,
Oh,
but
man.
I know what you're talking about, man, and I feel like I saw that not too long ago, maybe within the last 2 months, and same thing, I cannot remember for the life of me. I'm pretty sure as soon
Yeah,
as we end this, it's gonna pop
right.
in our heads.
Yeah, I wanted to
Um,
say Idle Hands, but I don't think it was Idle Hands. The comedy from 1999
yeah,
with the zombies.
I don't remember
It
if it was that.
Yeah, that one
That
comes to mind, but maybe not. There's something within those lines in that movie, but I can't. Anyway, yeah, I can't
And
remember.
speaking of idle hands, that's a good one. I would love to do an episode on. So if you guys want us to do an episode on that, make sure you're on YouTube, comment below, idle hands, or just on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Just let us know because that's a fun one from the 90s. Halloween's coming up. So we're trying to get our list together for all these awesome Halloween movies, like
Oh
horror
yeah,
movies, horror comedies. So,
yeah,
um,
for sure. I would love to do a horror comedy, and Idle
yeah.
Hands is a classic nowadays, for sure. And yeah,
Now,
and if you leave a review the podcast on Apple and Spotify, and as you review it, you could also put in some suggestions for sure.
yeah, please, guys. I mean, we're we're halfway through season 2. We're as you're noticing, we're trying to build a little bit better structure. We're trying to get more organized. So, yeah, any suggestions at all that you feel like it's going to improve quality of the podcast, stuff like that, just let us know if you're enjoying it. If there's any movies at all that you want us to do and cover, I mean, like put them in there, guys. Like that comment if somebody suggests a movie, and the more likes that these comments have, then more indicator for us to be able to do these episodes.
Yeah,
But
and we definitely have some movies in mind already, but it'll be awesome to get a suggestion of a movie that GC and I both haven't seen, so we can both watch it with new eyes and
ooh,
then talk about it. That would be fun too. I'm sure
some
we could
first
come up with our
watch.
own to do that too, but it'll be fun if you guys let us know about some that we can
Dude,
catch up
it's
on.
it's always fun when somebody recommends something. It's very exciting, especially like first watches from somebody that I had no idea something existed, and then somebody's like, "Watch this." You've done that
Oh
for
yeah.
me a ton of times, man. I mean, Dawn of the Dead, the original, I knew it existed, but I'd never seen it until we did that episode, and then I watched it, and I was like, "Dude, yes."
Oh yeah, man. There's so many movies out there that sometimes some of them just pass you by, and sometimes you're just reminded about them like, oh, okay, I definitely have to finally check that one out. That happens for sure to
Yeah.
everybody. So it's always great to find the new classic or an old classic that's new to
Mm.
you.
And speaking of classics, man, to segue into weapons, like to this section. Um, Obviously, I think that this movie like throughout the years, I have a feeling it is going to become a classic. It's going to be a more of a cult following, just like Barbarian. It is going to probably take up a little bit of time. But do you feel like the cinematography, the sound design in this film, like all those crazy edits that they did, it's gonna help get it to that cult following type like role, kind of like Barbarian.
Um, Honestly, I don't know about cult following because at least for me, my definition of cult following is probably a movie that was kind of overlooked or just wasn't as big of a hit. And then eventually, with time, people find it, and then you have this group of people that really love it. This movie's a big hit already, so I kind of feel like this is in the public zeitgeist a lot already.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't think this is going to be a cult movie, but I do think it's going to be a movie that's talked about throughout the years that people are going to keep mentioning. Whether even if it, with its success, like there's been, I don't know, I don't want to put it up there with the big dogs, but like Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff. But I'm just saying, like it's not cult, but it will have a lot of fans that will continue to rewatch this movie and talk about it from years to come for sure.
yeah. No, I agree, man. I did feel that the only thing to me, like the sound design, Jesus,
Mhm.
design was fantastic, but the cinematography, there were moments where I am dying to get a hold of the physical release and watch like the special features because man, the kids running through the walls, through the windows, through the doors, it reminds me of a Little John song. But anyway,
Right.
like yeah, like them that like all those scenes, like the way it was filmed, and you could tell that they didn't cut. Like it just carried on. The camera was following the entire time. It was impressive. I know the scene at the liquor store. The person hold the cinematographer, he had rollerblades on. So he's chasing Julia's character in the liquor store on rollerblades and just
Uh,
hold with a handheld camera. So that scene when she's
yeah.
running and she gets to the end of the store and she's just standing in front of the door and like looks horrified as the cop's girlfriend or fiance shows up. Like, dude, no, it wasn't that part. It was with with the principal when he's like chasing her and he chases her
Oh,
in there.
right,
Um,
right, right.
that was brilliant. And I remember them explain. He was explaining something where it's like they felt like because it was such a narrow space, they wouldn't be able to get that shot with anything else. But with rollerblades, they were able to do it like old school. And I mean, that shot was perfect.
Yeah,
So,
Steadicam was used a good amount in this movie. That was yeah, you could tell, and it's good. No, yeah, it's got really good cinematography. It's well shot. The lighting, everything is, just
yeah.
professionally very well done. Like feels like the budget's only 38 million, which is not really a big budget, and it feels like this movie had like a 70-80 million dollar budget because it looks so nice. It looks really good.
Yeah. Well, speaking of lighting and all that, um, segueing to something else here, as far as for like scares versus atmosphere, um, what do you think carried the film more to you?
Atmosphere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, because there isn't. I mean, honestly, just going back, other than those little, goosebumpy scares that you got from the main villain. What was her name? Gladys.
Yeah, I think it was Gladys. Yeah, Aunt
Yeah,
Gladys.
like those it moments, right? And that's
Yeah.
about it. But the atmosphere was really good. It was consistent, and that yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love the feel to it. It was very cold. It just felt like it was like you felt the coldness, you felt like the dread. It
Yeah,
just
there's like
it
a color blue to the movie almost, right?
yeah.
Like when I think of this movie, I think of the color blue, which is I think both of us have a little bit of a blue background right now, even though
Yeah.
my light is fading if you're watching on YouTube. But I always kind of pick a light to put on if I talk about a movie that reminds me of the movie and the color that makes you feel. And this movie is definitely blue for sure.
Yeah, that's what I went with, man. Because you know me with like the lighting of my background. When I did the live of Texas Chainsaw yesterday, I used red because it's obviously like it's a bloody movie and stuff. But with this, it felt very. It reminded me of the Texas Chainsaw 2003, where it was very cold and it was very bluish. And I'm wondering if they're gonna keep that consistency with the prequel of this film of Weapons, or are they gonna go with a more warmer tone to kinda explain the early days or something like that? But, yeah, I mean, definitely for me, it was atmosphere all the way.
Yeah.
Um, now, we did talk about this a little bit earlier, but how'd you feel? Was it to you more shocking, disturbing, or thought-provoking type of film?
Thought provoking. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't shocked by anything specifically. But this movie is thought provoking. Like this movie, it made me think about it a lot more after it ended, right? And it's one like we said earlier, it's one of those movies that you go back and you think about it and you try to decipher certain things in it. and it's really it's a great conversation to have. That's why we decided to make this video so soon. The movie's only been out for a couple of weeks because we wanted to talk about it. We know people are interested in it because it has a lot of good talking points. So yeah, no, for sure. That's and it did a great job with that. That's very good because it brings rewatchability to the film. People want to rewatch it and discover new things and talk about it. So
Yeah,
that's what I got from it.
this movie definitely had that conversation piece like locked down. It's something that I mean, dude, that's why when I brought up doing this podcast episode, it's because I was dying to really just sit with someone and have a conversation about the movie because we could talk about it through text or and I mean here and there through messages, but to be able to like just sit and dedicate like a whole freaking over an hour of just
Yeah,
really breaking it down and just getting like because now even afterwards, man, I'm still gonna be thinking about even though we've talked about so much, there's still so much more of what ifs or what I missed during the film that I know when we do a second watch, I mean, who knows? Maybe we watch it a second time and we do like a shorter episode with like a follow up if anything changed for us, if we discovered everything new, I mean, who knows?
right.
Or just a little live stream about it, just kinda talk about it, but it's definitely it's thought provoking as hell. There was moments that shocked me, like with the fork, with the skin peeling, but that was also like shocking slash disturbing to me, but mostly just thought provoking across the board.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I guess for you, like, where does it rank among the 2025 horror films? Because we've had a lot of good horror films this year. It's been a good year for horror. It's been a very successful year for horror in cinemas.
Yeah.
So I wonder, and I know you spoke earlier about how, as a horror movie, this movie didn't feel, that strong, but as a thinking piece and all this other stuff, it did. So where do you rank it there?
Man, I wanna be fair to it, but as of right now, watching it once, I it's up there, but not really anything like, it wouldn't be on my top 5 this year because it felt more like a folklore, like the Pied Piper type story.
Yeah,
Obviously, with that, and again, it's just more of a social commentary, so that's what stuck out to me. It's something that I would say like I was definitely like it just blew me away from beginning to end. It was just it was good. It's up there. I would say it's maybe I would even give it maybe number 5 or number 6 up there. But I mean it's still we still have a few months left, so definitely we'll revisit it and then we could rank it at the end of the year and see like where it lands. But what about you?
yeah, for sure. I still think we're even though we're as we're recording this, we're more than midway through August, but I do feel like we also have September and October coming up, which we're definitely going to get more horror movies.
Yeah.
Even though I know it's probably not going to rank up there, I still haven't seen the new I Know We Did Last Summer. That actually comes out on digital next Tuesday, so I'm finally going to get to see it. I missed it in theaters, but no, I probably for horror it might make well, I don't know if it's gonna make my top 5, but it might. But overall movies for 2025, I don't think it'll make my top 5, but it'll probably make my top 10. Like you said, not only for horror in the next few months, but at the end of the year, we do get all these Oscar baity type movies and stuff too. So, but as far as horror is concerned, I like this one better than Final Destination if we're talking New Line Cinema. But there's other ones that stand out more. So yeah, I think later in the year we'll definitely put a little list together.
Yeah. Dude, that's a hard comparison, man. Now that you bring up Final Destination because Um, for me, I don't know if it's just because of the nostalgia of the franchise that just kind of wins me over. I don't know if it's just because of that, but I definitely man, rewatchability. I wanna say that Final Destination, like, satisfied me and explained everything, but then with this one has more rewatchability value because there's just so much on I don't know if maybe that was his purpose to get us to buy it so we keep watching it and watching it to figure
Yeah.
it out, and it's like it's one of those, like mazes where we're just gonna keep going through this movie and there's no end no there's no exit. We're just gonna keep digging. There's no explanation. It's a trap
Yeah.
for us to own it. But, yeah, man, I agree with you. It'll definitely be top 10, but it's not gonna I don't for right now, it's not top 5 for me.
Yeah, and I'm glad that this one we already know for sure is getting a physical media release.
Yeah.
So that's good news.
Hopefully it pushes that physical release for Barbarian. I know that, I saw an interview recently, and he was talking about how he's been trying to get it released,
Yeah.
and I don't remember if you sent it to me or somebody else sent it to me, but it was great to see that he's like pushing. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
I know
We'll see what
we're gonna
happens.
get it. I think we're gonna get it eventually.
Yeah.
Like we spoke before. I mean, Hush got one, and that was a Netflix movie, and people were fighting for that one and fighting for a
Yeah.
few others. So I think we'll get it. It might take another year or two, but we'll get it.
I could definitely see like a company like Second Sight releasing it on physical. I actually thought that they would probably be the ones to release weapons, but obviously if it's New Line and all that stuff, right now they want to profit off
Yeah.
of it first. But I think maybe down the line, the licensing is going to get passed around. But I could definitely see Second Sight being the company to release like a cool box set for it and all that.
Yeah, them or Shout. Only I mentioned Shout because they're the ones that did Hush, so they
Oh,
are
that's true. Yeah.
they are constantly seeking for these movies too. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't mind even if it's Disney, even though they suck. But
Yeah.
just as long as we get one, they're the ones that own the rights to it. So
Now, with this movie, obviously we did talk about rewatchability and all that, and us wanting to see it a second time. Do you
right.
feel as of right now, watching it once, is this a movie you could see yourself watching like once a year, or is this going to be one of those like, it was good, maybe once every few years type situation?
I think that really depends on the second watch for me. Well, I'm not gonna walk out because I probably won't go see it in the theaters again. But
Yeah.
if I watch it at home and I feel the same as I did the first time, I probably won't watch it yearly. I might watch it once every like 4 or 5 years. I know that seems like a lot, but
Yeah.
I watch so many movies as I know you do that it just sometimes time flies and you're like, oh, I haven't seen this movie in like 5 years. But if it really impacts me a stronger way, like Barbarian did, for example, that movie's been out only 3 years, and I've seen it like 4 times already. So if it does that, then I will rewatch it more. But if I feel the same, then probably not.
Yeah, same here, man. I mean, with Barbarian, I saw it like what 3 months ago or something, and then I just rewatched it again recently, and it was still just like watching it the first time. It was so good. If not even, I caught more things that I missed, and that was like the third time watching it. So, yeah, that's what for me. I think this movie for right now, I'm dying to rewatch it, and then after the second time, I'll know for sure if it's gonna be like in my rotation every year, or if it'll be one of those like once every 2 year type situations. But
Yeah.
so, man, we've talked about this movie. We've kind of gotten pretty deep into it, but I want to ask you overall, right? Overall, what would you rate it? Like what's your rating for this movie?
uh, Out of 5 stars, I'll probably give it 3.5. I would When I
Three.
first
Okay.
walked out of the theater, I'm not gonna lie to you, I had it at a 3. But in talking to it and talking about it with you the first time we talked about it when we first saw it, and then now going into it deeper, it makes me want to watch it again. And yeah, 3.5 for me. That's where I'll stand for now,
Yeah.
pending another watch.
Same here, man. I'm definitely gonna do a 3.5. Well, I mean, I already did. I gave it a 3.5. I was also hovering around 3, and it was just because I was looking at it with the set of eyes as a horror movie. But do you find it interesting now us talking about it and when we lean more towards social commentary, psychological type film, how the rating kind of changes? Because now we're looking at it with as okay, not so much horror, but more realistic type,
Right.
situation. Like
Yeah,
it's
like almost like a drama in a way, a drama with a little touch of horror there.
yeah,
Um, it's like if I put those goggles on for it, it goes up, and I think it'll be. That's why I mentioned earlier in the podcast that we were kind of like nitpicking at the movie or maybe saying some negative things about it, but it's just how we felt. But at the end of the day, we do like the movie. So I mean, I think 3.5 is a pretty damn good score. So it does show that we enjoyed the movie and we really enjoyed talking about it.
yeah. Because I mean, for me, a 5, it's type of like Oscar worthy, like I probably cried or I was just traumatized for like a month. That's to me a 5. A 4 is almost there, and then obviously a 3.5 is just it's still fantastic to me. That's a great rating. I
Yeah.
think once you start getting 2.5, it's kind of like a B movie. But anything above 3, man, it's something that I would want in my collection for the most part. 3.5, especially like 3.5 to me, it's like I want it and curate it. I want to have it in my collection. I want to watch it for years to come. And like Lee mentioned again, I mean, yeah, we're huge fans of Zach Cregger's and his work, so we respect his ideas behind the filmmaking of these movies, like the storylines and everything, the work that it went into it. We love all these actors that were in this film. So us just kind of breaking this down, it's not trying to like put anybody down or overly criticize, but it's just really taking that deep dive. I feel a lot of people in this day and age, they're afraid to really say how they feel when it comes to certain films because they're afraid of the impact where everybody's saying like, oh, this movie's amazing, but then I'm like, yeah, it's a 3.5. And everybody kind of piling up and be like, you suck, you don't know about movies and this and that. But that's the beauty. We could all have our own views and still be, still be honest about it without afraid of repercussions. Because God forbid we don't agree this horror movie of the year.
Right, no, and it's a double-edged sword because then also, if you walk out of it saying that it's terrible, then people are gonna be like, "Well, everyone's loving it, and you just don't want to like it." And I feel
Yeah.
like we gave it a super fair turn. Like we talked about the positives and the negatives. I think we covered everything as far as just being fair to the movie because the movie deserves it, and it is a good movie. We I wasn't blown away by it like a lot of people, but I totally understand their love for it, and man, if you love it, talk about it, enjoy it. And we liked it, and we're gonna watch it again and see how we feel about it. But I think 3.5, man, it's a good score. I've
Absolutely,
you know
man. Listen. I'm not ashamed of it. Like, I mean, I'm always. Well, that's one thing I've loved about us that we're always honest with films, and I mean, we dived into it. Like, it's not just me saying I didn't like it because it wasn't scary. Because a lot of people out there will just
Oh
say
yeah.
that, but to me, it's like going in depth and really breaking it down and getting the juices flowing and getting people to really think, why did I choose this rating and this and that. I think that's where we kind of put our money where their mouth is, so to speak, with our ratings. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but
exactly.
if you guys enjoyed this movie, I gotta say that for one, I want to give a quick shout out to a very supportive company, and I'm gonna if you're watching this on here right now, like on YouTube, I'm gonna pop in the barcode on here on the screen. But this is a phenomenal company called Valoria Video. They just started off a few months ago. What they do is they're kind of an online boutique type company where they're pretty much think of it as a online blockbuster, right? Where you could buy these movies, not renting, but you could buy the movies and stuff. Obviously, we know that Weapons was already announced, Steelbook. So if you want to pre-order this film, make sure to go ahead and check them out. Valoria Video, VALORIA video.com. And if you use the code Face the Movies 10, you get 10% off your order. So if you enjoyed this podcast, if you enjoyed this movie and you want to own it, you want to go into the special features, support filmmaking, go ahead and check it out and save 10% off of your order. But and that's another way to also be able to support the podcast. I mean, besides obviously subscribing, liking, commenting, be a part of this little community that we're trying to grow. These type of purchases using these codes really helps us to kind of ramp it up to the next level production wise. So by all means, and again, you're not if you don't want it, you're not forced to do anything like that. It's just an option to kind of help, as you guys are supporting us by watching and subscribing, save you a little bit of money along the way. But besides that, Lee, what else you got for us as far as for movie recommendations?
Well, I do want to mention a movie that I read about this. Somebody mentioned it, and then I was like, "There's something there." Now, this is not a horror movie, but I'm sure a lot of you have heard it. P.T. Anderson's Magnolia. Um,
Hmm.
it's a weird movie, man, but and I have to rewatch it because I've it's like a 3 hour movie that it's also a little bit of a slow burn, and it has a lot of it's a movie with a lot of themes and stuff. I mean, I remember there's like an ending where it rains frogs out of nowhere. It's pretty crazy. But I know that the director said he got some inspiration from this movie. So I think we people should check it out, and I want to rewatch it to see where um he got stuff like some of that inspiration. And then I'll also mention your next, uh, because of the style and the cinematography,
Yeah.
and that's a movie that I really enjoy a lot too.
And
What about you?
obviously too, Barbarian. I think we've talked about it so much.
Oh yeah.
That's another one that if you haven't seen, go check it out. I think it's as of this recording, it should still be on Netflix. I think until the end of August. So check it out. I mean, again, there's no physical release for it. So if you're able to stream it, stream it. Wherever you're able to find it, figure it out. But highly recommend it. The Green Room is another one that's it's a bit of social commentary. It's a raw, claustrophobic thriller. It's like one of those
Yeah.
survival against violence type movies. It's from 2015. Highly recommend that one. Another one, I haven't seen this one, but I've heard nothing but phenomenal things. It's the movie called Funny Games. It's kind of like a meta commentary on violence and audience
Oh
complicity.
yeah,
So,
I saw the 1997. No, I've seen them both. I believe they're the 97 one is almost shot by shot remake, but they're both good, man. They're both like
oh,
well regarded, and you know how usually with a remake it's not, but they're
yeah.
both well regarded. I do recommend. I've seen those. They're good movies.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And guys, with that, again, if you're watching this on either my channel, Face the Movies, or Lee's channel, Cinema Whiplash, make sure to again subscribe, comment, let us know your thoughts. If you hated the podcast episode, if you loved it, I mean, we just want to hear from you guys. But that's kind of wrapping up this discussion of weapons. Whether you loved it, hated it, or still trying to piece together what the hell did you just watch, one thing's for sure: Zach Gregor knows how to get people talking.
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to know what you thought of it too. Hit us up on social media, drop a comment, and let us know your theories about weapons. And don't forget to check out GC's channel, Face the Movies, and my channel, Cinema Whiplash, for more deep dives into horror and the beyond.
And as always, guys, thanks for spending your Friday night with us here on Friday Night Fright Night. Until next time, keep the lights low, the volume high, and the knives sharpened.
Catch you later.
Later, guys. Make sure to survive.